Live from our Seven Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First in our bulletin tonight, 4 children have died and 4 others critically injured after an end-of-year tragedy at a Devonport school. Strong wind gusts ripped an inflatable jumping castle from its base, children falling 10 metres after the castle was blown into the air. The children were celebrating the last day of the school year.
A family fun day, that's what it was meant to be, now forever marred as Hillcrest Primary School's darkest day.
On a day when these children were meant to be celebrating their last day of primary school, instead we're all mourning their loss.
2 boys and 2 girls dead, 4 others critical, another in a serious condition after an inconceivable jumping castle tragedy. All were in grades 5 and 6.
Anything involving children affects us all.
Authorities say a gust of wind ripped the inflatable castle from its base early this morning.
I heard something, I thought it was a flat car on a tyre, and the next minute I looked over to the school grounds and then I saw part of the jumping castle flying up in the air.
The children on the castle were dragged with it. Some fell 10 metres to the ground.
When we went over them, there was just children everywhere, children trying to get resuscitated.
Parents left in shock. School closed early.
I wouldn't have guessed this would have happened, sending my son to school this morning.
Staff and students will be offered counselling along with the first responders.
This is a very tragic event and our thoughts are with the families and the wider school community and also our first responders.
Locals have already begun leaving flowers, teddy bears and tributes to all involved. There was an outpouring of emotion across the country, everyone from the Prime Minister.
Just a terrible tragedy, unthinkable, a horrific accident, a freak accident that will leave families completely devastated.
To the Premier.
I know that this is utterly devastating and heartbreaking for all involved.
Police flew drones above the scene measuring the wind speed, but they won't make any comment about the condition of the jumping castle or how it blew away until the coroner has released a report into the incident.
Police are still on the scene investigating. It will take quite some time.
For 4 Devonport families, it's heartbreak, only 9 days out from Christmas.
Now, if you need support or someone to talk to during this difficult time, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Well, turning to other local news, a man has tested positive to COVID-19 in Hobart on the same day Tasmania's borders reopened, plunging 19 close contacts into quarantine. Public Health is warning it's a stark reminder to get vaccinated as more people flock to the state to reunite with loved ones.
There were more happy scenes at Hobart Airport this morning, just a day after Tasmania's drawbridge lifted.
It's our new little grandson, so it's so exciting.
It was an anxious wait for one woman and her friend after months spent apart.
He's 6 months, but it seems like an eternity.
Finally, a warm embrace.
We've been friends 60 years. We're so close and I miss her so much.
Family ready to be back in each other's arms once again.
We chat every day, but nothing like seeing them in person and having a cuddle.
But as they arrived, so too did the virus.
As I've said on many occasions, COVID will come, and it arrived yesterday.
A man in his 20s now isolating at home after arriving on QF 1533 from Sydney to Hobart yesterday morning. He will undergo further testing in the coming days, but for now...
We are managing this case as if they do have the Omicron strain.
The list of high-risk exposure sites now growing to cover Greater Sydney and Melbourne as case numbers continue to soar. New South Wales recording more than 1,700 new infections today and Victoria climbing above 1,600. And with growing uncertainty in the community, the opposition is pushing for greater clarity surrounding the prospect of future restrictions.
When the rules change and the messages change, all that does is make Tasmanians concerned that the government's making it up as they go along.
The Director of Public Health urging Tasmanians to wear a mask in public, particularly when COVID spreads, admitting locking down isn't yet part of the plan.
And there are other measures such as restricting gatherings and reducing density in public places, obviously as part of returning to as normal a possible Tasmania as we can possibly manage.
Now the task is to get around 45,000 school-aged children vaccinated before Term 1 begins next year. But with only around 76% of 12 to 15-year-olds jabbed so far, parents are being urged to book an appointment sooner rather than later.
It means that we still have 6,000 that are sitting in that 12 to 15 age bracket. Schools are finishing up now. Please do take your child and get them vaccinated.
A small step everyone can take to safely spend time with loved ones. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Environmentalists are claiming victory in a long-running stoush over a luxury development at Lake Malbina. Tourism company Wild Drake has withdrawn its proposal from the state's planning tribunal, which would have seen visitors flying in on helicopters to high-end accommodation within the walls of Jerusalem National Park. The proposal was originally refused by the Central Highlands Council, sparking 3 years of legal wrangling. The project is still being assessed at federal level. A Risdon Vale woman has won her appeal to downgrade her murder conviction to being an accessory after the fact. Margaret Ann Otto will now be resentenced in relation to the 2017 shooting of her husband.
May 26, 2017, Dwayne Doc Davies shot twice in the head and back in a cannabis grow shed at Elderslie. 2 years later, a 6-week trial found the tattoo artist's former friend and his wife both guilty of murder. Bradley Scott Purkis, given 24 years jail for shooting the victim. Margaret Ann Otto, 15 years for instigating the crime, argued at the time by the prosecution.
I would have liked it some more, but we're happy with what we got. Nothing is going to bring our boy back to us.
Otto, however, has fought her conviction of murder by lodging an appeal. Today, that was granted. 3 judges unanimously agreeing to set aside the guilty verdict of murder, instead changing it to being an accessory after the fact. Acting Justice Porter saying the jury ought to have acquitted the appellant of murder, although there was evidence upon which the jury could convict. There being a rational inference consistent with guilt, it was not the only rational inference to be drawn from the whole of the circumstances. Margaret Otto is expected to return here at the Supreme Court tomorrow morning to be resentenced. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
Hobart traffic was thrown into chaos this morning after 2 metro buses collided on the Tasman Highway in peak hour traffic. 1 person was taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital for treatment and several passengers were assessed at the scene. Initial reports indicate the crash occurred at low speed and resulted in minor damage. Police investigations are continuing. Tasmania's timber production is set to ramp up, with Timberlink announcing a major investment into its sawmill at Bell Bay. The company is pumping $63 million into its facility, creating 50 extra jobs to keep up with booming demand driven largely by the housing industry.
They need wood. We have to produce the wood. We've got the timber in Tasmania and we're going to put the money and the capital in place and we're going to deliver it.
Timberlink says it will produce enough extra timber to build 7,000 new homes. The expansion will take 3 years to complete. Tasmanian researchers are launching a world-first trial into COVID vaccines for pregnant women and the elderly. Launceston Professor Katie Flanagan is leading the research, which will look at how the immune system in vulnerable people responds to the vaccine. She says the jab's quick rollout means we don't know as much about the effects on certain groups.
Being aware that pregnant women weren't included, for example, in the initial clinical trials, and not many really older people were also included, I felt that we should start to understand what's going to happen when they get booster vaccines.
The Clifford Craig Foundation is providing $360,000 towards the 2-year project, the biggest individual research grant in the organisation's 30-year history. If you're just joining us, it is a dark day for Tasmania. 4 children have died after a freak jumping castle accident at a Devonport school. Several others are in a critical condition. They were grade 6 students at Hillcrest Primary School at an end-of-year celebration. We return to our reporter Garth Burley, who is in Devonport. Garth, this is a tragic day.
And one no doubt the school and community won't be forgetting anytime soon. This is surely to send ripple effects through the community for months, weeks, if not years to come. As we mentioned earlier, 4 children dead, 2 girls and 2 boys, 4 clinging to life, the other serious. The Premier and Police Commissioner spoke earlier today to express their sadness.
Our hearts are breaking for the families and the loved ones, schoolmates, teachers of these young people who were taken too soon.
I know I speak on behalf of all Tasmanians when I say that our thoughts and prayers are with those 5 children that are still in hospital, and our sympathies are with those families and friends and loved ones of the 4 children who have unfortunately passed away.
The enormity of this situation is certainly not lost on people here. That's why we've seen car after car pull up to lay flowers at this tribute site, car after car, flowers after flowers, and it's going to be a long time. These are people that sent their kids off to school today expecting them to be safe. I think this is why this has really reached at the hearts of so many people. And a reminder, Kim, as we go into that investigation, moves over the coming weeks and days, police and the coroner will look at the potential negligence of the castle operators. Kim.
The Federal Environment Minister has praised Tasmania's efforts in boosting numbers of the critically endangered orange-bellied parrot. Susan Lee today visiting breeding sites of the migratory parrot around the state, including the 5 Mile Beach facility, saying the federal government is investing $2.2 million into protection and conservation efforts.
We're coming out of a period of time when we were really anxious about the future of this bird. Now we can be more confident. This is a good story. It's a happy story of survival.
It's critically endangered. So currently we're sitting at somewhere between 65 and 70 individuals remaining in the wild. That's a recovery in the last 5 years from a low of 17 birds.
19 birds were released at Melaleuca in the southwest this spring from captive breeding. The design of a multi-million-dollar recreation hub in Mowbray will soon be clear, with development of the project now going out to tender. The dilapidated site, which used to house ACL bearings on Invermay Road, will be converted into an activity centre for the northern suburbs.
So many new migrants live in this area. They'll be able to come and use these facilities, enjoy the game of basketball, the rock climbing, all the facilities that will be here.
The project is part of the Launceston City deal.
Hobart has scored an extra Big Bash game, one of 5 matches to be relocated due to WA's border closure. The Hurricanes will now host the Perth Scorchers at Blunston Arena on Monday night. The team had been expecting to head across the Nullarbor for the clash. Tickets go on sale from 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Good evening everyone. Launceston the state's top today of 25 degrees, 22 in Burnie, Devonport 21 and 20 in Hobart. Across the state, 22 in Wynyard and Low Head, Friendly Beaches 21, Flinders Island and Grove 20, 18 in St Helens and Strawn and 16 in Lyowini. Low-level cloud can be seen over most areas of Tasmania today, although the northwest has clearer skies. Further out, some isolated thunderstorms are seen inland Western Australia as well as through northeastern Australia, while the rest of the mainland is mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow, a high-pressure system can be seen over the south of the Tasman Sea with a ridge along Queensland coast. A series of lows and troughs dominate the remainder of the mainland. And we will see west to northwesterly winds tomorrow, 10 to 20 knots about the south, otherwise variable 5 to 15 knots. 22 in Hobart tomorrow, sunny and 25 in Huonville and Campania. Launceston 25 and sunny, partly cloudy and 20 in Devonport, Georgetown 19. Burnie and Wynyard both 20 degrees tomorrow, 21 and mostly sunny in Strawn. And in the east, St Helens reaching 23, sunny and 22 in Swansea and Port Arthur 21. And the UV tomorrow is extreme 11s across the state with sunrise expected at 5:31 a.m. On Saturday, showers extending statewide during the early morning, contracting to the west in the afternoon. Showers mainly about the west on Sunday with light showers also about the east. And on Monday, showers mainly about the west, far south and parts of the northeast. 23 in Perth tomorrow, sunny in Adelaide and Melbourne, Canberra 27, a shower or 2 in Brisbane, 34 in Cairns and Darwin and 41 degrees in Alice Springs. And currently Hobart sunny and 18, mostly sunny and 21 in Launceston and Devonport 19 and sunny. And Kim, that's all in weather tonight.
Okay, thanks very much, Chelsea. We'll see you again tomorrow. And that is all your news for now on what is a difficult day for Tasmania. Thanks for your company this evening. Good night.